Today I'm sharing 27 truths that would have changed everything for me 7 years ago. Because I just had this moment yesterday. I was talking to my friend and she got me thinking. She was like, I don't get it. Like, haven't you been building your company for like 6 years now? And she's not wrong. She's not wrong. I have been grinding on this idea for as long as I can literally remember. And I felt when she said this to me, I was like shocked. I was like, it's not even been a year since we built this media company. Like, I just started creating content less than 9 months ago. What are you talking about? Like, I was super confused. Then it hit me like Jen Shi was born 6 years ago when I was a senior in college as part of my capstone project. Back when I literally had no clue about the world, how technology actually manifested in a company, in a product. I didn't even understand how to get a job. I didn't even understand how to be an adult. I had been sheltered my entire life, and I had been in these incredibly captivating educational experiences between my private school from high school to the private college that I went in, where everything was very glamorized, was the idea that anyone can be an entrepreneur and like money is not real and anyone can get funded for any idea and you can get any job because you're entitled to everything. And it really wasn't until that moment that I tried to start this company and tried to get a job and tried to do all these things that I was told my entire life that I was entitled for, and quite literally it all completely failed. Like, nothing manifested the way I wanted to. And I feel like I had to like grit my teeth and struggle and completely figure out what felt at the time completely gatekept and impossible to decipher. And 6 years later, I'm sitting in front of you today being like, holy shit, like, how did it take me 6 years to be in this one moment when all I had to do was make a video and post it on the internet and build a media company out of it to actually further my mission, the problem that I wanted to solve, the company I wanted to build, but then also make money from it. Like, that's what they don't talk about. They're like, oh, you can have all these really great ideas and you can have all these really amazing things about what you want to see in the world, and you could want to be a leader and you could have these dreams of changing the world. But guess what? If you don't actually make money, nothing will happen for you. And for me, that meant, going and getting a corporate job, teaching myself how to code, figuring out and navigating big tech before I could eventually quit to give my chance of starting a company. And then I had to go raise venture money from investors, only to give it all back and realize that actually that wasn't the company I was supposed to build to solve this specific problem. And it wasn't until I did all those 15,000 mistakes did I actually end up in this moment to have the clarity and have the vision of what I wanted my company to be, and then actually make money and be successful doing that. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about everything that I'd wish I had known when I was 20 to save you the time. Quick warning before I dive into it. A lot of it is going to sound like made up and you're probably not going to believe me, but I promise you, just stay with me when I'm going through it. I'm telling you that a lot of the things that people say of how we should do things is completely wrong. It's to perpetuate a system that doesn't work for us. What I'm really trying to do here is like truly give you the most honest, the most transparent version of what actually happens when you get to that point in your life, so that you can go into it prepared, and also you don't have to go the long way. Like, hopefully by going through these truths, you can actually shortcut your way to your success, shortcut your way to the things that you are excited about, that's actually fulfilling, that actually makes you money, that actually helps you achieve the pinnacle of success that you're looking for in your life. Okay, number one, knowing rich and wealthy people is actually not a shortcut to life. I cannot even tell you how much I used to envy all the people in my high school, in my college, who were born to CEOs of these billion-dollar companies, and how they could just call a friend and get their kid a job at the company. They could just call their other friend and ask them to invest in their company pre-product, literally pre-idea, and I'd be so jealous. But guess what happens when they walk through that door that was handed to them? They actually have to show something for themselves, and they don't have anything to show. It doesn't really matter that they had that opportunity, they had that door open to them. And that's another thing that like we don't realize when we're going through this. We think that networking is so important, who you know is so important, but that's just simply not true. Because guess what? If you actually just spend all that time that you're networking and weaseling your way into knowing the right people, knowing rich and successful people, instead just focus on your craft, focused on being super successful at something, being top 1% in the world, the thing that you're excited about. You're telling me that people are not going to be flooding your inbox, flooding your DMs, hitting you up to want to invest, to want to be a part of it? Like, if you actually build a product that has thousands of people who want to pay for it, are you even going to need that resource and that network and that connection at that point? Here's another truth that I cannot tell you how miserable I was because I didn't know this, but you're not supposed to pick the right job. the first time. You're not supposed to pick the right job the second time. You're not supposed to pick the right job the third time. In fact, you're supposed to get it wrong multiple times, because by getting it wrong, you actually become closer to doing the thing that is right for you, that actually truly fulfills your purpose. That's what your 20s are for. People think that's what college is for. How is college for that? You don't even actually do real jobs in college. You're in class. You're just like trying to survive class. The only way to know if a career makes sense for you, if a job is actually something that you care about, is by actually doing the job. And you can only do the job as an adult once you've graduated, when you actually have the time to get the job. So give yourself grace, give yourself that time to experiment. It's okay if you don't love your job. If it's okay if you pick the wrong job, perfect. That's one step closer to the right job. That's the whole point of your 20s. It's to be lost and confused and to fail, but to fail fast and to iterate from there and take what you learned that didn't work out and then implement it into something that does work out, so you get closer and closer to something. So like by the time you're in your 30s and you're actually trying to think of starting a family, or you don't have to start a family, like it's if you want, or whatever, you want to like buy that dream house, or you want to go on that dream vacation, whatever that is. It's really at that moment that you're like, okay, I've done like 3 or 4 different careers. I've done a bunch of jobs I didn't like. I finally like my job. I finally feel like I'm kind of settled in my career. I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing now. Like that's not supposed to happen for the first decade of your career. But if you go into your first decade thinking that you're supposed to know everything, you're not going to try enough things. You're not going to actually push yourself to find that clarity. You're not going to allow yourself to take the risk and to make the wrong choices. So you're actually going to end up in your 30s miserable, hating your job, and actually kicking yourself for not trying enough things. Because now that you're in your 30s and you hate your job, you don't even know what could possibly be something else that you might like better, because you didn't give yourself the chance. Number 3, any life-changing career opportunity or any crazy salary increase or money increase in your life is going to boil down to how you advocated for yourself, how you pitched yourself, how you showed your value and actually used quantifiable metrics to demonstrate your value. It's going to boil down to your expertise of doing that where this new opportunity and this new amount of money is going to come in your life. Whether it's whether it's a promotion that you pitch yourself to your manager to get them to give you a salary increase, or it's getting into your dream school, or it's getting into this program, or getting this new accelerator for your company, whatever this life-changing opportunity is, or even when it comes to recruiting, like think about how the fact that the people who get chosen oftentimes are not the people who have the best resumes. They're the ones who showed up to the interview and gave a really passionate story about how this company that they're applying for is their absolute dream job. And passion speaks for itself. Really figure out how to tell a great story. Storytelling is truly the key to everything. It's not knowing that rich person or having that network or that referral. No, it's really being able to walk up to the table and give and deliver one of the best stories of all time. You can truly walk into any door if you're able to do that. Number 4, and I've gotten in so many fights with my friends about this one, but luck is not real. I just don't believe in the concept of luck just happening. You create your own luck. Things don't just fall into your lap, right? Maybe the only exception to this rule is you being born to a certain parents. Sure, that's just complete luck at that point. But most things in life do not boil down to luck. It boils down to how you manifested that environment for yourself and how you showed up. And most importantly, did you actually work hard and chase it, right? I remember when I woke up one day and I had an increase of 100,000 followers. I think it was over the course of just barely a week. And some people came up to me, oh my God, you got so lucky. That video just blew up. The algorithm has had your back that day. I was not really. I basically prioritized making videos every single day for an entire year, many days making 5 or 6 videos. This definitely is not something that just landed in my lap. I didn't get lucky with the algorithm. I was consistently creating an environment for myself where I could have the chance of getting lucky by the algorithm. There is that nuance. Speaking of that, number 5, and I truly deeply believe this with all my heart, is you can outcompete most people in the world simply by being the last person standing. Literally all you have to do is never quit. It's not that, it's literally that simple. 99.9% of the people in the world just don't have the motivation to consistently wake up every single day and just do the same exact thing over and over and over and over and over again. Don't underestimate how hard it is to basically consistently do one thing for years. But I can guarantee you there's less than 0.00001% of the thing that you want that people would be willing to spend multiple years trying for and still going for it even if they fail. Let me give you a stat that's going to blow your mind that perfectly proves this point. 90% of podcasters never make it past the 3rd episode. So simply by making it to the 4th episode, you're in the top 10% of podcasters. Number 6, money is much better spent buying freedom of time than buying materialistic things like clothes and makeup. I don't know about you, but I actually want to look good all the time, but I'm pretty confident that a $10 Amazon shirt and a $10,000 Prada shirt is going to probably look the same on me. Like, that is the fact. But imagine if I DoorDash half my dinners, like still getting healthy things. Like, I'm not saying like get unhealthy food, but let's say whatever, I DoorDash my Sweetgreen instead of go and pick it up, and I save 10 minutes and I spend $5. Well, my value of my time, those 10 minutes is worth a lot more than $5. So by picking the convenience that actually buys me more time, I'm making money on my time. Start to value your time more and start to actually calculate how much money you make per hour before you actually choose what you do with your money. Spend it on buying you more time so you can make more money. And so one day you have so much money, you buy the Prada bag, not because it's a good financial decision, just because you can, right? Like, imagine how good that's going to feel. Number 7, don't be competitive with people. Be competitive with products and companies. This one is really, really important, right? Like, you need to start having abundance mindset around people and really, really do not underestimate the importance of kindness. I'll give you an example. When I was recruiting for the associate product management position, when I graduated college, this was a position for new grad product managers. There was like less than 5 companies hiring for this role, and each of those 5 companies only hired a handful, and many of them only hired one. And all my friends wanted this job. And they would constantly ask me, like, whenever I had an interview at a company, ask me how it went and what questions I got. And I could have been unkind. I could have been like, you know what, I don't want to tell you because I'm actually directly competing with you for this role, and they're probably only hiring 1 or 2 people, and so I want to get it and not you. But instead, what I did is I would write down the questions after I had the interview, and I would send it to all my friends. And I had this abundance mindset around the interview process, and I thought about my friends first, and like being kind and not seeing them as my competition, but rather seeing the company as my competition. How do I win them? How do I beat their system? How do I get better at the interview? And you know what the ironic part of having this abundance mindset is? None of my friends were sharing these interview questions with each other, but they were all sharing their questions with me. So I ended up having the most questions in the end, and I actually got the job in the end. And that became as my attitude of like, I'm not competing with my friends. I want us all to get the dream job, and having an abundance mindset around it, and it's picking kindness, choosing kindness first as my value, not the job or the money or all these other extremely cringe superficial things. So don't get yourself in that situation. Choose kindness, have an abundance mindset. Don't directly compete with people. Instead, compete with the system, compete with the companies, compete with products. Don't actually take it to a personal level. Number 8, speaking of interviews, the best interviewer gets the job. It's not the best applicant. And what I mean by that is you could have 10 brand name companies on your resume, and you could have all these like accolades. You could have a degree at Harvard, Stanford, whatever it is. And if someone else is a better interviewer than you, who went to community college and never worked at another company before, but they show up at the interview better than you, they're getting the job. That is how the system works. Yes, it might be harder for them to get that first interview, but if you're both in that interview and they're a better interviewer than you, like, they're gonna win. But guess what? This is fully in your control. You can actually become the best interviewer simply by practicing, but practicing in a real environment. So that doesn't mean practicing in front of a mirror, but actually doing mock interviews, actually trying to get as many interviews, job interviews as possible, and using these job interviews to actually practice is more likely how you're actually gonna get a job. Or if you don't have that many job interviews you're getting, or maybe the job that you have is like very rare and you don't want to risk that job interview being a practice, actually schedule meetings and calls with other friends who want similar jobs as you and actually use that environment. It's a very real environment. Someone is like staring down at you. They're actually looking at you and trying to see, what is she going to say? Like, that is a nervous situation. Like, it feels very real, like someone's watching and waiting for your answer. It's the best way to simulate something real, and you are actually going to get better if you simulate real practice, and that is fully in your control. Are you going to do the work to actually create those practice situations for yourself to be the best interviewer in the room to actually land the job? Number 9, tech is one of the best industries in the world to get a job in. Not only does it pay well, it's also super relaxed. There's tons of work-life balance, but oftentimes some of the biggest gatekeepers to working at these tech companies is having technical experience, even though 90% of the jobs do not actually require you to necessarily code. But the thing is, it's actually pretty simple to get technical experience. You can take a small course on the side. You can go to a boot camp. You can read a book about it. You can simply just talk to your friends about tech and get the lowdown from them. It's not that serious, but get technical so you have the optionality to work any job in the tech industry if a job is what you choose, and actually have the perfect balance between financial stability and actually not a hectic lifestyle, because it's really when you have time time after work to do your hobbies where you have more fulfillment in your life, to do your side hustle so you can actually realize your dream of starting your company, or to actually use that extra time to build really great relationships in your life. Number 10, document everything you do in your first job, even if it's a screenshot of a message you sent to your coworker, helping them save 3 minutes of their time. What you don't understand about the corporate world is no one is watching you when you work. So if you're going to end the air and be like, I did a great job, someone should promote me, someone should get me paid more, that's not happening, because the only person in the world who knows what you did is yourself. So you actually have to advocate for yourself, actually package up the work you did, package up your achievements. But a lot of the time, especially when you're early in your career, it's all these like micro small things that had a difference. So at the end of the year, you're like, okay, well, I didn't really do something massive for the company. I didn't really have this big project that actually moved the number and actually made the company more money. And then guess what happens? Because that's true and you didn't actually make the company more money, well, the company's not going to feel like they need to pay you more. But if you show that you made the company millions of dollars, they're much more likely to increase your salary. How do you actually show that? Well, it's all the little things you did, the 3 minutes you saved your coworker, the like side project that your manager assigned you that no one knew you were doing. It's all those little things that actually move the needle, that actually can, if you sum up all the tiny little things, you can actually show that you created some impact to the company, that you actually made them money, that they should actually pay you more. When you're building a company, like collect the wins, write an email, send it to investors. They're not going to know about the small improvements you're doing for your company. They're just going to look at the stuff that's public facing, and it might seem that you're not having enough advancements in your company fast enough, and they might become angry at you. So whatever it is you're doing in life, make sure that you're celebrating the small wins, you're documenting it, you're packaging up for the world to know about it. Because if they don't know about it, then no one's going to reward you for it. Number 11, working in big tech is extremely overrated. Yes, you get the free food and the perks and all that stuff, but it gets old very fast. Like, I promise you, I know that doesn't sound believable. Instead, I recommend joining a high growth startup. You can learn so much at a startup. Everything from fundraising and hiring, all the BTS about starting a company that is just like not written online. And I know this doesn't optimize for money, but it optimizes for learning. And the true way to make money, the true way to become wealthy is to start a business. You can never become wealthy off a corporate job. So your best chance at really learning the skills and really being prepared to start a business is if you actually join a small team at a startup and learn the tea behind how it's actually done. Stuff that is super gate kept. There are no books on this stuff. You kind of just have to experience it and take that information to go start a company later in your career. That is the best way to actually become wealthy. It is not through your 9 to 5. Number 12, unless it's a boy you have a crush on, double text. Hey, triple text, quadruple text. I don't care. Keep sending the message until you get exactly what you want. The sale is in the follow-up. This is tale as old as time. Like, no one is thinking about you. No one is actively trying to do things for you. So you have to push them and remind them and make yourself heard and seen as many times as it takes before they're like, you know what, I just want to get them off of their back. Just give them what they want and they go do that tiny little favor that you asked them that actually has a genuine impact on you. So if you sent that recruiter message and you're waiting to hear back, or you texted your friend because you want a referral, or you asked your friend to introduce you to someone that would be really beneficial for your company, whatever it is, send them a reminder. And if they still don't respond, send them another one. I guarantee you at some point you will hear a response. At some point it gets annoying enough where they will do it for you. Or they'll be like, you know what? I'm not going to do it for you. I don't have intention. At least you have closure and you can move on. Number 13, that brings me to my next obvious one. No one is thinking about you. Like I mentioned before. Literally ever. Like, if you don't show up to hang out with your friend, or you go and get coffee with your friend, she's not going to invite you to your birthday party. Or no one is thinking about you literally ever. Like, don't take things personally. If you're going to like run away for the entire summer and go to like a random European country while all your friends back home are hanging out, don't expect to get invited. Don't expect people to know what you're up to unless you're posting about it on social media and telling people and going up to people at parties and events and being like, this is what I'm working on. Only then are they going to think of you when that opportunity arises that's best suited for you. And when that opportunity does arrive and they don't think of you and they don't invite you and you take it personally, that's on you. You didn't talk about yourself enough. You didn't talk about what you're doing. Or when it's ready for your promotion and your boss like doesn't promote you, like, that's your fault. That's not your boss's fault. You didn't do a good enough job telling your boss how important it is for you to get promoted and all the things you did that deserve your promotion. And you should be starting that conversation 6 to 10 months in advance. Because in these corporate worlds where promotions are actually reasonable, like, they have to go pitch it to their manager. And that manager has to go pitch it to their leadership. And their leadership has to go pitch it to the budget team. So you can imagine how many conversations need to happen before you get your promotion. And so if you start all those conversations the week before the promotion cycle happens, well, guess what? Try again next year. Just remember, Just as you are the center of your universe, we're all the center of our own universe. And so unless you actually show up, remind us, advocate for yourself, we're not thinking about you. We're thinking about ourselves just like you're thinking about yourselves. Number 14, the best mentality to have is everything is my fault. Sure, things can be someone else's fault too, but that's just having a victim mindset. And your life is going to end up to be very disappointing because even if it's not your fault, the POV of your reality still sucks. And so instead, if you kind of just gear your mindset around, well, everything is my fault and everything that goes wrong is fully in my control, you can start to take control of your life. So even things that other people try to screw up, even things that are completely not your decision, out of your control, you can actually find a way to make it in your control, have more things go your way and live the life you actually want. Number 15, the number one skill in life is being a fast learner. And yes, I mean having the skill of Googling, or in the world we live in today, being a chat GPT. Like, the faster you can do that, the more valuable you will be in the job market, in corporate, as an entrepreneur. I'm exaggerating a little bit because most of the answers are not an easy Google search away, but my point is if you are someone who's a really fast learner and can take a problem or take something super ambiguous and actually put a solution behind it, you will become one of the most uniquely valuable people, and you can actually command any salary you possibly want because you're basically saying, hey, no matter what the problem is, no matter how difficult it is, I'm the best person in the world to solve the problem because I have experience being a fast learner and actually taking difficult, ambiguous situations and finding a solution behind it. Number 16, this is something that's so underestimated, is you have to spend just as much time talking about your work as doing the work. So 50% of your time is doing the work, but 50% of your time is talking about it with people, in person, online, wherever you go. It is so critical because even if you build the most amazing product in the world, you have the greatest invention of all time, literally saving babies in Africa, you could be doing the greatest work, but if no one knows you're doing it, it quite literally doesn't count. It literally won't count. Like, your reality will not be everyone else's reality of the situation. You won't get credit for the work. You won't get paid for the work. That work will not matter. We live in an attention economy. Go get that attention on the stuff you're doing to make it matter, to make your work count. Number 17, always have a hobby and an outlet to recharge. Your work can get so depressing. You can so easily fall into the trap of burnout if you don't have an escape in your life that truly fulfills you, that gives you purpose, that is something you're passionate about, that doesn't have a transactional value in your life. It's not something that you're making money. It's not something that is like a skill you're trying to learn that's going to help you be better at a job. No, it's just a hobby. It's something you do for fun. Yes, it can be a sport or arts and crafts, but it also can just be hanging out with your friends. Like, that's also a real hobby. And then learn how to take that hobby and use it as a way to recharge yourself so you can use that fuel and stamina to go back into your work with a renewed sense of energy and do 10 times better every single time you go back to it. Your hobby now becomes one of the most productive things you could possibly do with your time because it's allowing you to show up to work in a much better way than you left it. Number 18, you have much higher odds of becoming wealthy following your curiosity rather than following these traditional stereotypical careers like being a lawyer or an engineer or an investment banker. The thing is, like I mentioned before, the last one standing is the one who wins. But if it's something that you're truly deeply curious and passionate about, can you imagine how easy it is to be the last one standing? You could literally be passionate about juggling. But if you're the number one person in the world who juggles, like, you can probably get paid a ton of money. And if you're the type of person who loves it so much, you can juggle all day, every single day, till your grave, till the day you die. And you have that much practice on you. There's no way anyone's going to be better than you. And there's no way anyone's going to be able to out-earn you in this. Speaking of which, number 19, life is way too short to hate your job. Like, that is like 80% of your time, and like literally like 80% of your life is the job you do. Like, what a miserable life to live if you hate it. Stop messing around and start doing something that you actually care about, that you're actually passionate about, that is actually useful for the world. Like, be a contributor to society. Take a bet on yourself. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself to actually be passionate about something, and then commit to that curiosity and continue to show up to it every day and be the last one standing. And like, you have no idea where that's going to take you, but I promise you it's going to be so much more fulfilling, and you have a quite literally 10 times better chance to make money in that field because it will feel effortless to show up to it every day, and you will be so joyous about the process that passion and energy will show in every facet of what you're doing, whether that's when you talk to other people about it or when you share your work or whatever it is. And you have no idea what can happen if you do all these stuff that I've been talking about, right? Like, I was talking about storytelling, I was talking about advocating for yourself, I was talking about consistency, whatever. There's all these things I'm talking about. Guess what? All of that becomes literally given and just like crystal crystal clear and like truly so effortless if you actually like what you're doing. Number 21, put your phone on do not disturb mode. Like, I don't know why that's not the default setting. I don't know why the default setting is that we continually get DDoSed by a million notifications every 5 seconds by the entire world asking us for these million favors or sending us memes, or like a company shelling us and sending us notification of their new sale, whatever it is. Like, it quite literally makes it impossible to focus on anything and do anything exceptional in life if you like literally can't focus. Don't let them hijack your attention. Put your life back in your control. Put your focus and your schedule back in your control. Start to live your life intentionally, and don't rely on your discipline to do that. Number 22, most things in life are attainable if you play the numbers game. You can probably reach anyone in the world if you message them enough times. You can probably get any job in the world if you interview enough times. And you can probably build a successful company if you fail and iterate on the same idea enough times. Because if you're willing to fail and iterate and try again and really put in the effort, like at some point it's going to be unnoticeable. At some point there's going to be a reward there. Okay, number 23, sleeping with an alarm is so bad for you. It literally triggers cortisol and stress, which actively impairs your decision making and memory, which are some of the most important things you need every single day to actually function. More importantly, sleep is one of the most important ingredients to actually being productive and creative and actually unlocking your potential on a day-to-day basis. Why is your alarm deciding when you're rested? Your body is the only one that knows when it's rested. Okay, number 25, we're getting close to the end, and I have some really good juicy ones coming up. You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Start spending time with people that you deeply admire and respect. That means building friendships with people you actually want to be. I know that sounds cringe. I know it sounds fangirly. Fangirling over someone is like the ultimate compliment. It's like ultimate flattery, and everyone wants to be noticed and appreciated. So go find the people that you fangirl with and go be their friend and spend time with them. Before you know it, you're going to be exactly like them. You're going to be exactly like the person that you deeply admire, respect, and have always wanted to be. Number 26, do your skincare. Start doing your retinol when you hit 25. Wear SPF every single day, even when you're just working on your laptop in front of a window. Like, the UV rays is what causes extreme wrinkles, and you can't start this when you're 30. And Botox and fillers do not actually prevent you from wrinkles. It's really doing your skincare in your 20s. And I feel like I just figured this out. Like, I wish I started earlier in my 20s, but I'm glad I at least started now. It's quite literally the only way to not look like old and ugly and wrinkle at like 40, and pretty privilege is like a real thing. Like, yeah, if you can't control society and all their prejudices, if you can't actually fix the game, well, then you have to play the game. And such a simple thing like looking young and youthful and energized in your face, in your wrinkles, in your fine lines, it really goes a long way. Like, I cannot even tell you how many people will like subconsciously have these biases towards you just because you look a little tired or look a little older, you look a lot less youthful. It's really just about consistently showing up and doing your skincare, wearing sunscreen, doing a few basic things like adding in a retinol in your skincare once you hit 25. Like, these things are so important, and ruthlessly commit to it. Do it every night, whatever it takes. Like, I don't care if you're like blackout drunk, like coming out from a night out, like do your skincare. It takes 5 seconds. Like, please, I beg of you. Number 27, this is quite literally one of the most transformative realizations of my entire life. And I think it has had the biggest effect on who I am and everything I've ever achieved, which is don't underestimate having fun. It's what gives you stamina to actually show up and work hard. And the truth is, a lot of the times achieving exceptional things is really grinding and working hard. And it's not really hanging out with your friends on the weekend. It's not really, socializing at night. It's just committing to the grind and hustling. So the best way that you can really recharge and build that stamina through fun is living your life in seasons. So the way that I have done this, and you can take this as inspiration, is I would spend 4 or 5 months grinding for that dream internship or that dream job that I knew once I had that on my resume would open infinite doors for me. And then I would spend the next 6 months really having fun, prioritizing my friends, going on trips, traveling. And then once I started that job, really focusing on making a good impression in the beginning of the job. But then once I got a better hang of it, like actually then, leaning back a little and then actually logging off at 5 p.m. and doing fun things with my friends and living in a big city. Yes, I was spending a little bit more money, but I was also making a little bit more money because I previously the year before had spent those 4 months getting that dream job that actually provided me enough money. Or even now in my career, like I spent those few years living in those big cities and traveling and having a blast, where I actually have the stamina now to like hustle in my business and not go on vacation for the like last few years and achieve phenomenal things. Well, guess what is happening now? Well, now that I have my business running and I'm making more money than I ever before, well, now I can go on vacations again and start spending that money. So many parts of life are unlocked, but it's because I had a seasons mentality of like, there's a season where I have fun and there's a season where I grind and hustle, because I know that the grind and that hustle is going to unlock an opportunity that's going to make it that much easier financially and time-wise to have that much more fun. That's going to, again, re-energize my stamina to start all over again the next season and ultimately unlock everything I could have possibly dreamed of in my life. These are my truths. Would love to know if there's anything I missed or I should add. I know there's so much I can learn from you guys. Let me know again in the comments. And if you don't want to know, let me know in the comments. As always, my Instagram DMs are always open. Till next time, I can't wait to see you in the next episode.